Psychology theories, a brief history. The word psychology is derived from psyche, which means the mind, and logia, meaning the study of something. A psychologist is a trained individual who can help with answering some questions and figuring out what life means to an individual and how to find a happier, healthier, and more productive life. Psychological theories are ideas that describe phenomena of human behavior. These ideas are based on hypotheses which must be evidence based. This evidence is usually derived from testable and descriptive research that supports the initial idea. There are five best known psychological theories, namely behavioral, cognitive, humanistic, psychodynamic, and biological theories, which can be categorized as developmental, grand, mini, and emergent theories. In this video, I am focusing on two of the approaches of psychotherapy, namely psychoanalytic therapy and existential therapy, what the historical background is, the key concepts, and the similarities and differences between the two. I will then focus on the strengths and weaknesses and reflect on the applicability of these modalities in the South African context. Sigmund Freud is a well-known psychologist who founded psychoanalytical theory. His theories have helped us build our views on development, personality, life and death instincts, sexuality, interpretation of dreams, defense mechanisms, unconscious motives, and mental processes. He introduced concepts such as the unconscious, the preconscious, the conscious, the id, the ego, the superego, eros, and the reality principle, amongst others. He wrote over 20 books with some of his theories heavily criticized, expanded, and further developed by other psychologists. He delved into developmental psychology by introducing his psychosexual stages of personality development, which influenced Erik Erikson's theory. Freud wrote about ego defense mechanisms, which his daughter, Anna Freud, was then able to simplify and expand. From Freud's psychoanalytical theory, many branches were formed and came to be known as psychodynamic theories. Freud's influence on the field of psychology is mainly based on the belief that every human being possesses the unconscious thoughts, emotions, drives, and impulses. Although Freud believed that one's personality cannot be changed beyond the age of 5, his psychosexual phases of development can still be incorporated today and affect a person's personality. And Freud's method of dream analysis are still being used today to bring the unconscious mind to the conscious. Now, some of the well-known neo-Freudians include Anna Freud, Carl Jung, Erik Erikson, Karen Horney, and Alfred Adler, whose expansion and disagreement of Freud's work still contribute to psychology today, although they have lost some popularity. Now, psychoanalytical therapy's strengths are personality development, the positive results of talk therapy, and relational psychology that led to the attachment theory. Psychoanalytical theory is effective in treating some of the most common mental disorders, such as anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Psychoanalytical therapy's weaknesses includes the overemphasis of the unconscious mind, sex, and childhood experiences. Freud also didn't believe that there can be a personality change after the age of 5. This theory lacks in the consideration of cultural diversity and environment. Psychoanalytical theory was not evidence based. Now, the goals of psychoanalysis therapy are to repair damage in individual psychological lives through the understanding of the conflicts that exist between the conscious and the unconscious, and reverse repression that may affect one's behavior. The therapy is meant to assist a client with acceptance of these core conflicts, to understand themselves and for them to learn to react appropriately to others. Now, psychology is an integrative science. Even with disagreements, different theories, we keep moving forward to find better ways of understanding humanity. Moving away from psychodynamic therapy now, we will look at the theory called existential therapy. Existential therapy, known as existentialism, is explained as an uprising against efforts to gain scientific understanding in the field of psychiatry. The main principle is that existence precedes the essence. Existentialism seeks to place the individual back at the center of psychotherapy. This theory states that one is born without a purpose, that we have no essence, we have no specific path, we lack any worldly importance, and we are responsible for assigning meaning to our own lives. Jean-Paul Sartre is one of the founders of existentialism. However, there are other philosophers and psychologists who were key, such as Soren Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, and Viktor Frankl, who is known for his book called Man's Search for Meaning, published in 1946. In this book, Frankl chronicles his experience as a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp and describes how he was able to apply his psychotherapy methods on himself and others that he was in prison with. Now, Jean-Paul Sartre was able to sum up the existential philosophy in his 1943 book called Being and Nothingness, which explains that humans are condemned to be free. Existentialists believe that there are no absolutes, there are no rules, no reason, or preset meaning to a person's life. According to existentialism, we are born into a meaningless world and suffer from what he named absurdity, which is the search for answers in an answerless world. The answers that we seek can only come from living an authentic life with the understanding that we are abundantly free, we have no guidance from a higher being, and must design our own code for living. Now, he believed that all authority is fake. The authority that exists is there because someone else assigned it its current meaning. All rules, laws, and suggested ways of life are essentially man-made. He believed that bad faith is following someone else's path, someone else's goals, and someone else's assigned meaning instead of your own. Existentialistic theory concerns itself with death, meaninglessness, isolation, and freedom, and rather than focus on dysfunction, as the other theories do, the focus was mainly on the optimum functioning of a human being. Qualitative research was conducted to provide a guide for discussing the essential requirements for existential therapy. This inquiry provided soft data from professional therapists who did respond, providing three main areas of concern. These concerns include the length of the time it takes to understand a client's potential needs for therapy, meaning a more convenient way for therapists to quickly screen a client is an essential item. The other point that was raised was the importance of cultural understanding between the therapist and the client. And the last point, which requires attention, is that existential therapy is heavily reliant on the client's imaginative processes rather than the scientific ones. These points are very important in the South African context because this country has a very diverse culture, ethnicities, beliefs, and major disparities in the economic status. These issues may be the main ones that are essential, especially in the initial phase of meeting the client, and that may be problematic. Existential philosophy and existentialists' therapeutic movement have greatly influenced art, entertainment, and literature throughout the years and has found its way internationally as a recognized and very effective form of psychotherapy. These two modalities have very little similarities, very few differences because they are not based on the same principles and disagree on the fundamentals of each. They are similar in ways that relate to having similar goals, such as dealing with anxiety and dread as a condition of life. They both encourage individuals to seek and increase awareness and live in the present moment. They recognize relatedness is essential to personality development. Existential therapy is unlike other therapeutic methods, mainly because it does not follow a specific technique, and the therapist's own philosophies can influence the therapeutic experience. The goal of these modalities is for the therapist to help their client understand themselves, find ways of changing if necessary, and live a healthier and happier life. South Africa is experiencing a mental health crisis right now, and the current statistics look bleak. According to a News 24 article, South Africa's mental health statistics have declined, with more people being more distressed than they were in 2020. South Africa has a shortage of professionals who are qualified. It is even worse when we look at cultural diversity of this country and how the application of both these modalities at all levels. Various attempts have been made and continue to be made with community outreach programs, and the crisis is overwhelming. The South African government only provides 5% of its overall health budget towards mental health, among other issues. Hopefully, soon there will be an official endorsed plan of action from the Department of Health in South Africa. Now, many strides have been made throughout the centuries on psychology, even though South Africa is lagging behind the rest of the world. The continuous research that is being conducted through various psychotherapeutic modalities such as psychoanalysis therapy and existential therapy will get us to a point of agreement with the understanding of psychoanalytical theory and existential theory, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how they can assist South African citizens is hopefully going to be fulfilled soon. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening to this. I will see you next time. Goodbye for now. Lots of love.